if you're recruiting a CMO, how do you spot a good one?
So how do you prove that as a CMO?
If you need to focus on your results, do not put it in organic. But if you need results now, like leads, you need to then focus on someone that is lead gen.
Performance.
For all the people that we do speak to, the one thing that I would say definitely comes up the most is culture fit, personality fit. Am I going to get on with this person?
People need to be really project driven for fractional work, which is really tough for fractional people because it's even more pressure.
Welcome back to another Digital Cheesecake episode.
The
Yes,
biggest
here
smile
we
I've
are.
seen just then.
Because it's the
Here we
last
are.
one, and we've done a couple already this morning.
Last one for today, not
last
forever.
one for today. Yeah,
Come on.
I've got a few others. So if you do want to see some others, definitely go on the
Yeah,
website.
well, segue.
Yeah, YouTube.
Subscribe on the website and follow on Spotify.
Apple.
YouTube,
Apple,
every channel
YouTube,
possible in marketing.
everything. So today we're
Insta.
talking about CMO. So if you're recruiting a CMO,
What a surprise.
how do you spot a good one? So what do we think, guys?
Well, it's dependent on the business,
where
which
to
is
start?
what we were talking about. But yeah, exactly. Where do you
Stole
start?
my line, Sarah. It depends on
It's
the
not
business.
straight cut, is it?
It's not straight cut.
We just interviewed an amazing CMO.
He was amazing.
Yes.
I'm just going to name drop him because I loved him.
Say
Charles.
it. Charles from
Focusing
BBC.
on
Charles
brand.
from BBC. I think, aside from that, everyone's got a different strength.
What did we
right?
like about him? What made him a good CMO?
Personality, because I was going to say
Personality.
personality fit
He
is
was
a big thing.
humble and
Transparent.
Yeah.
also took things slowly, which I think is the hard part. I mean, we just operated.
How slow can you go?
Slow, and we just loved it because we were like, wow, it's so nice. I mean, this is why we
It was
love
refreshing.
doing this podcast.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
We get
Meet
to
such interesting people.
take things slow and actually sit back and listen, and then you guide. He said, take the team on a journey and really
Yeah.
build it. And he is right about you want someone that can build the right team in marketing, which I think is different. He was talking about M&A being killers or not M&A in general, but that way.
yeah.
Whereas marketers need to be nurtured and brought on a journey because you have to be all convinced into the one objective.
Yeah.
Versus a CMO, guys, that you might hire or you hire in every different industry, but a CMO that's just for a startup.
Yeah.
For all the people that we do speak to, the one thing that I would say definitely comes up the most is culture fit, personality fit. Am I going to get on with this person? Because a lot of them, the time, they're dealing with the board, they're working directly with the founder. And if there's not that natural chemistry, yeah, then that is the big thing, isn't it? So I think personality fit is that actually, we can go into all the skill sets and all that kind of stuff, and how much business they brought in, but personality is probably the first thing. Are they going to be a good fit? And also, are the team going to get on with them? Because if that, people are interviewing someone and they think, actually, my team are not going to like you, it's not going to work, is it? No matter
I've
how
seen
big their
I've seen some
credentials
businesses
are.
fail because of that, getting it wrong, right? And I think there's a mixture of you've got to be also the right CEO and founder to make sure you're giving them setting them up for success in the first
True.
6 to 12 months. Because now it seems like everything is the first 30 days. A lot
Yeah.
of the clients I work
Or
with,
3
I ask
months
timelines
max.
and they're like, timelines? It's ASAP. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you're just not going to be set up for success.
Yeah.
And realistically, I think it's hard for CMOs because I'm doing this fractional work at the moment. And I think the hard part is you've got to be essentially telling yourself what to do in these roles versus being able to go to...
You can't go to anyone.
You can't go to
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah.
So
You're that person.
I think the best company that's being set up for success is saying, these are the things I want you to do in the first 3 months. These are the objectives. Let's go back to them every single time.
Yeah.
And it's
Exactly.
structured. And I think, so I think having someone, like you said, that's able to work with you personality-wise is key. So as we always say, higher personality. But if someone's listening that's a CMO saying, how do I get that job? And they say, I've got a great personality.
That'll only get you so far.
They don't get you
Exactly,
so far.
yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I mean, brands are still big, right? They really care, founders. But I would say to a founder, a person building a business, don't go for brands unless you're a big corporate brand yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong because you guys do the hiring. If you're someone like the BBC, maybe go for a big brand, right? Maybe because that person has dealt with big corporates.
Yeah. So
But
they
if you're
know
a startup,
the complexities.
don't go for a big brand ever because that
Or
person... that's
just a big brand. They need a mixture.
They need a mix, a
they
hybrid.
need a mix,
What an
yeah.
entrepreneur wants is not a yes man. So they want
Yeah.
somebody
Oh, yeah,
who's
definitely.
been there, got all the warts, got all the battle scars, who can actually come on board and actually say, right,
This is what you're doing
This is
wrong.
what you need to do,
Yeah.
and we're going to go do this direction, and being
Yeah.
able to actually, as you said, put that plan together. Because sometimes, as we know, like a business owner or entrepreneur are very dogmatic and they want it their way. But you actually do need a strong personality somebody
fight
who
back a bit.
Exactly. You can just say, right, this is what we're doing, this is what the plan is, this is what we're going to deliver in 90 days, 60 days.
Agreed. And it depends on the
Yeah.
objectives, right? If the business needs to get something done in 90 days, you need someone that can like grit. You always say the word grit.
proven
But don't
as
you
well.
love it, grit? Just like
Yeah, it does. It makes me feel like dirt though when I'm thinking about it in your mouth.
Makes
Every
you feel
time you
dirty.
say grit, I'm like,
you
"Ugh,
taste iron.
spit
Like
it
you
out."
taste, yeah. Every time I say it, I think of soil and tasting iron in my mouth.
Yeah, but if you're
Too intense, man.
Too intense.
But you have to look at their so if you're looking at their credentials, you've got their CV, you've maybe a lot of kind of references as well that you can just offer up and say, you know, this is references.
You've got to go to
from
town
X, Y,
on
and Z.
references,
Yeah, go
especially
to
if you're an
town on
entrepreneur. And
UK's really weird about it, I think. Like,
do you think?
Do you think?
Yeah,
Or as in,
Australia,
they don't
you
do
like
it enough?
speak to them and you have a call and you go
you
through
do-
all
Oh,
this
you
stuff.
can do
Whereas
that?
it's like,
Only
yeah,
for
but
big
it's very
companies.
like, some companies are like, we're not allowed to give out the reference here. And I'm like, what?
But you can't. You can't
yeah.
give a bad reference in the UK.
It's on it. That's
You're not- you
it
can't-
just sets
On the
people up for
record.
failure. In Australia,
on
you're
the
like,
record, you can't.
on the
Yeah.
record.
On the record,
I mean,
you
how
can't. But
bad
you
is
can
that? We
as
just
a
had Charles
side.
is saying the best thing about the BBC is that they're honest about the problems. And I'm like, well, you're
Yeah.
setting people up for
Yeah.
failure if you can't give an honest, like, anyway, it's just a
But in
bugbear of
marketing, the way
mine.
they do it, because it's so incestuous marketing, and everyone
Yeah,
knows
everyone knows
somebody
each
who knows
other, yeah.
somebody, they do off the chat references. They're like,
know,
I've
but
got,
it's so
I've got,
dodgy
I've
that
got
you
Dave
still
coming.
have-
I've got Dave coming in. Does he? What? He's working for me. But they'll say Dave. Dave's in. What's he like? Tell me. Tell me about
and
this
you,
guy.
so you still need to think about your reputation. Don't
Yeah.
think just because it's not.
I just
you
think
know,
it's a weird
legal,
process. It makes me feel
but-
like the person's dodgy that's doing it under the surface. Like as Australians,
Mm.
we would just be like, "That's you're dodgy. I don't trust you," by doing it under the surface of like doing a fake review, fake reference, and then giving me on the side. Like I don't actually trust you.
But sometimes
can
you have to do it.
Yeah,
that
but
way.
you would still
Yeah.
I know,
say
it's just
on
a
the
different way of
reference.
thinking for me. Here, I'm
Yeah.
like, I will give an honest review. And then when I
Yeah.
was interviewing someone from News Corp or something, and their reference was like, we can't give you back a reference. We can just say
But
they
it can
worked
come back.
there.
But it can come
I'm
back
like,
bad on you.
Yeah,
Like,
but they
if-
don't. Like the NHS is, we can't give any reference stuff. We can just confirm they worked there. I'm like, are you serious?
That's true, though.
That is
that's true.
Yeah, that
It's
is true in
ridiculous.
this
Anyway,
country.
sorry, we're not
But
talking about references right now, but it really bugs me.
It comes back to having a good reputation. So
Yeah.
even though you can think, oh,
If you're
well, I don't
referred,
need
it
to,
lands.
but it's everything, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
who you're working with, the recruiters that you're working with. It's like everything.
The recruiters have to know their shit, aka you guys.
Yes, but
About
then
that
also
person.
as I think
Someone we know that you knew that was hired, and you were like, they shouldn't have been hired. And
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know. It wasn't me, about someone else's team.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
that person?
But
and
that's
you're
why
like, we all know
reputation
that that's
matters.
not a,
And
that's
yeah.
not a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
hire.
yeah.
and being a good candidate as well. So
Because
work
we're
with
not
your
just speaking to
recruiters.
CMOs, we're speaking to business owners and CEOs.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they say to me, I say to them, would you, if somebody leaves, I go, just as a heads up, I'm going to represent this candidate in the future.
Yeah.
Do you advise me representing this person? And I say that quite a lot of the time to business owners. I say,
Yeah.
shall I represent this person?
Yeah.
Are they a good hire moving forward?
Yeah,
And
you guys
if-
take it obviously
Yeah.
very serious.
But we
It's your
have to know,
reputation.
they're
But we have to know
representation
because
enough. And we
otherwise
don't
we
want
can't-
people leaving.
Yeah, and we need to know those things as well. So it's really important to also, work well with your recruiter, and I think that is a
Because
big.
they will advocate for you.
But I'm
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a tough one here on this, because what really frustrates me is that you might get a client that says, like an example is, I want this ex-CMO from all these brands, but you
Yeah.
actually know they don't need that. They
We
actually-
tell them.
Yeah, we
you do
still
tell them, but what if
but-
they're like, no, I still want it, because I still feel like these companies are hiring. Like I've seen ones that are hired that are big brands, and I'm like, that's just, they're gonna come back to you guys in 3 months' time and rehire.
I agree.
Do you say that?
We
you
can
do
only say it
usually?
so many times.
Yeah, you can only say it
and
so many
then
times.
They
So-
have to learn the hard way.
There's,
Yeah.
there's a beauty
So I know,
client
you've
out
done a good
there.
job, you
Expensive
guys.
way.
There's a beauty client out there who has probably had a CMO every 9 months for the last 5 or 6
God.
years.
Yeah.
And
Did you do the hiring?
No.
Say quick answer, no.
No,
didn't fuck that
but
up.
we have recruited a lot of the people in the team there, and a lot of the people that they have hired are really good CMOs, but they're just not fit for purpose for this small growing business. So they always advocate. I
CEO
need this.
wants something different.
The
The
CEO
company wants
wants.
something else.
I need a big guy, like a big guy in terms of, or a big person in terms of. I need someone who's overarching, work for a massive FMCG. That's what we need.
Yeah.
But when they get in,
It's not what
It
they
doesn't-
need.
It's so
doesn't work.
funny because people do that, right? They go and get that CMO, then they leave, and then there's all this model now of everyone just getting freelancers. Like everywhere,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, you're going for someone that's never worked in your industry, you've never even met them before, and you're just
Exactly.
using them. But versus like a CMO, you're just gonna like put them through the whole hog of hiring. Like you really should. I think, yes, fractionals good, but you should try and do the 30 days of testing them out. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Or
like
whatever.
that
Just give them
idea
a
as well.
project.
But that could be
Yeah, give them a
fractional as
project to
well.
work with them as a
But
contract.
that could be
Yeah.
the fractional side of things as well. Is that, you know, okay, we'll use you for 30 days, maybe a few days a week. Let's see how you go, and then that could turn into perm.
That's
or
what
that
I
could
think.
turn
Like, there's
into
been ones
Yeah.
that I've worked
contract.
on, and it's like, oh, we're just not sure yet. We're freaking out.
Yeah.
Just do a contract. Do it for. You
Yeah.
need them anyway. You need
Yeah.
them
Offer
now.
some value,
And if
yeah.
they've already done contract work, they're going to know how to get into the weeds.
And just be transparent. Just say, this is 30 days worth of work.
Yeah.
I need you to deliver this by the 30 days. We'll have a meeting and a conversation.
Yeah.
And if we're both aligned, we can have a conversation about
I think
perm.
that
If
will
not,
shift towards that
see you
in
later.
like 1
Yeah.
to 2 years' time
Yeah.
with this one. But I think it's still a really hard market to figure that out. Like in marketing, that is. In finance, it's never going to happen. They're going to be like, but in marketing, I think that like is such a fragmented market of like people without jobs and in jobs and like doing freelance
know it
work.
is, yeah.
That
It's
I
like
think
pick
it
and
will
mix
be.
at the moment for a lot of...
I know it's
but they
hard.
get confused with
My
choice. There's
conversation-
so
But
much
what
choice
you
out
need.
there.
It's what you need as
Exactly.
a business. So if you're looking for, okay, I need my team, they're just not performing, I need someone to come and turn them around, that's a different skill set. So how do you prove that as a CMO? You need to prove that you've
I
come
think
in.
you're coming into operations too now.
No, we
Yeah.
had that. We had that. Remember
Yeah.
with that client in Surrey, because that whole scandal that happened.
Love that.
Yes,
Sounds like we.
yes. So, it was bringing that team.
So the
yeah.
CMO literally left overnight, and then we had to plug somebody in with an interim. But it wasn't about skill set. It was about keeping everyone happy in the,
Yeah,
happy in
and
the
it's
team.
so you have to
I've
show
seen that a lot
that
of
you've
times.
done
And I'm like,
that.
isn't that funny? You spent so long figuring that CMO out, and then
Yeah.
you just actually plug in someone from down the road.
Exactly. But
Exactly.
then, so if the team, so it's about finding.
Honestly,
finding
frustrates
out,
me.
Yeah, but it's about finding what the client needs, right? So if they
Yeah.
need that, you have to give all the examples of how you've done that in your previous roles. So that would be one thing. How in the weeds they are. That's what everyone's looking for at the moment.
Yeah,
How
we
in
were
the
talking
weeds have
about
you
it,
been?
big company versus
Are you
small
too strategic?
company.
I mean, at the moment, yeah, we talked about it, right? I'm like training some CMOs to be like, get in the weeds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to
And
now. There's
You've got to
no-
future-proof yourself,
you
because you're not
have
doing
to.
it. You're just
I
going to
think
close
you've got to be in
opportunities
the
off.
Yeah.
weeds enough, but I think
Yeah.
it's a breath of fresh air with Charles today to say you've got to also like make sure your team feel the confidence and you're not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it
100%,
depends
yeah.
on the company.
Yeah.
I mean, anything under 250K, like valuation, you're going to have like someone that's startup vibe that just can be a marketing manager, head of marketing and whatever.
Which you need, yeah.
And you might not have a CMO, you're probably going to get someone that's a head of marketing that can transition. I don't know. And then for a corporate one, I do get that the big brand side of things and like that mentality, but I think
I don't think it's in the big brands necessarily.
I don't.
Not
I
to
think
a
it's like
startup.
even for a company like BBC, I think having some startup nature is still a good thing because
They're
Yeah.
thinking like a
Could be
startup in terms of
agile.
what they
You
want
have
to
to
do
be
next.
agile,
Yeah.
yeah. Not too structured.
I think people need to stop thinking about these. I mean, always thinking about the brand stuff because the way people are operating. But yeah, you need a hybrid balance. So I think anyone listening that's more founder led or CEO led has got to be thinking about what have they done in their career versus what brand
It's about
have
the
they
numbers,
worked at.
like what have you delivered, conversion, profits,
Yeah.
what have you
ROI, P&L,
ROI, so you-
management,
exactly.
and prove that you've and also prove that you have been able to turn a business around and increase figures. That everyone wants to know. That's the key achievements on the CV is important.
But communicate
The
that at
figures.
first stage
But I think
interview.
the
you
roles
have
need to
to,
be
yeah.
separated. Like if they're really thinking about the first things with the CMO, they shouldn't be expecting them to deliver results straight away. Or like I think they should be having a growth person that is already there. That like we already trust that our digital team is smashing it. We need someone to come in and bring the team together. That's a different CMO.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of challenges in like the marketing functions. So like everyone's fragmented and they're not working together. You might have a really good head of growth that wants to be promoted to CMO, but they're not there yet. And
True.
like that, I've had that where I was really frustrated and I thought that I needed to be promoted to that. But actually, I needed a mentor and I needed someone
Okay.
that could bring me on the journey. So I think it's like, it depends on, the objectives. If the business is struggling, performance led, you need to build the performance team that's junior and get that like performance team in there. And then if the business is struggling, like, politics and community wise, I think you need someone that's like a nurturer, etc., that brings them together.
That's so true.
I think there's like,
But you have to be able to show that you've done it. So it can't be wishy-washy. You have to actually give those real life examples of this is what I've done. This is the figure it started at. This is what it is now or when I left it. And this is how I turned the team around. So it has to be facts and figures.
Agreed.
So I think a lot of people talk around the houses and I'm just sort of like, what are you facts and figures?
Get
Yes.
straight to the
Get
point.
to the
oh
point.
God, yeah.
Do it in
Yeah.
numbers because as a CMO, you're talking to the founder, you're talking to CEO. That's all they want to know. Do it in bite-sized chunks, 15 minutes. This is what I've done.
Longevity as well. People get a lot
Yeah.
of backlash when they say on LinkedIn, "Oh, if I've got 9 months here, 3 months there, I need to be considered for this opportunity because I've got the sector experience." But at the end of the day, a lot of
Yeah, I mean, you
clients
can't
want
have
to
3
see
months, but it's all about your story.
It's about the story,
Yeah.
but actually people want to see longevity on CVs. So the longer you're with a place, but the caveat is
Not if you're fractional.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, but that is all. If you
you have
can't
done it
tell your
quickly.
story, you're not a good marketer. No offense, but like your
Yeah,
whole
I
job is to
agree.
market yourself.
Yeah,
That's true.
100%. Well, actually, a lot of marketers say they can't market themselves, but they can market anything else.
That's the easiest
but
thing
it's
to
hard
sell is yourself.
themselves.
If
I
you
think they
can't
need
sell
to do a
yourself.
bit of
Hard.
personal development. No, I'm just kidding. That's really hectic.
So what are the
But-
skills that everyone are looking for then when you're speaking to companies, digital skill sets? What are you seeing are trending? Like
Always everyone wants the growth, like the performance numbers straight away.
Okay.
So commercial led,
yeah.
right? Which I think, but going back to your point about someone who can do results, if the company's really stressed about like the teams are not working and the numbers, you need to have I think it needs to be two different people. You can't
Right.
expect a CMO to be able to build an entire team and then also put pressure on them for all the numbers. You need someone else in the team that knows all the numbers that you can trust.
Like a good second.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
a good second.
Okay.
Like I always say, if it's a head of marketing, like even a founder, I'm like, you need a head of marketing or something. If you're a brand new company, then you need a head of marketing that's at least a decent like salary higher, right? Like not
Yeah.
too
Not too
insane. You
spenny.
don't need a CMO if you're a brand new company. You need someone that just gets into the weeds. But yeah, so I would say you need that like growth person. You need a gun that's like fresh, whatever. But you also need the CMO there if you're above, 500K or above 250K, I'd say. But the skill set is data, like knowing how to just build dashboards as well as knowing how to
true,
like,
yeah.
it's the dashboards, content. I mean, it's all channels, but I would say the first ones are like paid search, paid social. Getting those
Okay.
like knowing how to talk about those numbers. Paid search, number one, just getting numbers in, knowing how to tweak that. Paid social's good, great. Yes, it's helpful, but you need someone that knows like at least data analytics and like returns.
But what if they say we don't have any budget for this, or we have a really tiny budget, we need a lot organically?
I wouldn't put it in organic first, ever. If you need to focus on your results, do not put it in organic. Of course, if you're a big brand, put it in organic,
Yeah.
yes, and you've built that foundation. But if you need results now, like leads, you need to then focus on someone that is lead
On
gen.
performance.
So
Yeah.
then you need to prove that you've been able to do that at a different company within how many days? 90 days? 30 days?
Honestly, I'm working with a client where we had 30 to 90 days and everything's nearly been done like in 2-3 weeks. Because the client's
okay.
like, I love all of that, but then they see all of it and they're like, I want it all done. So like dashboard was meant to be in month 2
Yeah.
of like building all of the stuff. But now they're like, straight away, our leads are down. It's always the case. Like who are we going to
Okay.
turn to? The person that can give me leads. So fix
Yeah.
the leads, get the dashboard up and running. Once you have that foundation of like, we can all trust the numbers. If there's no place, a central source of trusting numbers, then you're like, so like we've got a new client at the moment that is going to be the beauty one we were talking about. And they want to talk about like running paid social, etc. I need to build the foundations first for them to be comfortable that we can report on the numbers, that they're
Yeah.
comfortable in it. Most of the time it's convincing the founders that they're comfortable that they're getting a return. So don't turn on activity and get all these, add more headcount until you've got like a fundamental, like, are we tracking it? Where are we tracking it? How are we tracking the numbers?
Do you need a
Get
big
that in.
budget?
No.
Okay.
You just need a person like me. Hello. Just kidding. Not me. Don't do me. Don't do me. I'm talking like you need
Yes, please.
someone that's ahead. You need a performance marketing manager or you need just someone who knows performance and someone who can like kind of on the fly build a dashboard. But that's more for like smaller businesses. But like somewhere where we had Andrew from Aviva.
Yeah.
Andrew. Yeah. He got into there and built their performance stuff. Like he got it. And now he's grown into this amazing role and he's doing all this other stuff because he built the foundations of like the performance.
So that you would say is the foundations. But what if a founder or CEO is just like, I need someone who could do everything, so they can do the performance,
Yeah, head of
but they
marketing.
can bring the team together as well.
You need like a marketing manager, head of like marketing kind of thing.
So you'll say it's always got to be 2 hires, or maybe a
Not
fractional
always for it
CEO.
depends on the budget of the company because it
Yeah.
depends. Like if you're up from 500K up, then you're going to have a lot of sales and like you need more people. Like if you're someone that's less, like you're under 250K, you could have one person doing the head of marketing stuff. Like you
And
could.
maybe get in fractional just to do the strategy. So that's where the fractional side works.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then
person that's really good, like
get
Ash and I do a bit of that, but Ash Auckland does that as well. Like she comes in and then she's also got like a good structure of people where there's a head of marketing in the business already.
that's
And
what
then
you
you
need,
have a
yeah.
fractional that comes in. But the hard part is like all the CEOs want the fractional to do more hours. So you just need to keep in your mind as the fractional or as a CEO, these are the objectives that I want to get done. They're not doing work. These are the objectives that I need to get done because I'm not paying them a full salary. If you want them to pay them a full salary, then you could get to that, but that's in 3 months' time.
Yeah.
It's in 3 months' time. It's not in 30 days, unfortunately. So anyway,
People need
I
to
think
be realistic about
yeah,
that.
people need to be. They need to be really project driven for fractional work, or else if you are, I'm just going to work 2 days a week. I mean, I was talking to Ash about this as well. It could just be anything in 2 days a week. And then they're like, oh, I need you on more days. And then you're available at night. No, on the 2 days I'm working, I'm going to deliver these things. And this is the date I deliver it by, which is really tough on fractional people because it's even more pressure.
Yeah.
And then
But if something goes wrong on one of those other 5 days, you have to
happens to me,
respond
you're
on
available
WhatsApp.
all
You
the
have to
time.
be
Yeah.
available. Like you took a call a minute ago, didn't you?
Yeah, it's every single.
Like at the end of the podcast, you had to take the call.
Yeah.
Get it sorted.
So you're on 24/7. But
Yeah.
I do love the nature of it that you get passionate. You're in a business and you go into it. But it's difficult for some people. So I think anyone that's even doing fractional work, give kudos to you guys because you've got to balance your life, balance the fact that you're not in front of them all the time and they're not asking you to deliver on stuff. You have to just essentially be running a company kind of thing on 2 days a week. It's pretty hard.
Over communicate everything that you're doing and actually show your value, because I think what's happening a lot more now is that companies want you to show your value straight away. So maybe it's about setting those KPIs.
I think KPIs should go to the recruiters.
Yeah.
I think the KPIs, which I think is missing, is if you're going out for they should come to you and say this is what I want in the first 30, 90 days.
We never get that. So we never actually get 30 days, 60 days, 90 days.
Of course, I would slow down your process, right? Because you guys don't need to. But a smart CEO or founder would say, these are the KPIs I want delivered. Who do you think's the right person that can deliver those KPIs?
That's actually a really good.
That is a
if
very
anyone's
good point.
listening and they're recruiting for a CMO, when
There
they
you
speak
go.
to us and it's your first CMO,
Tell us what you want
Tell us what
in
you want,
90
and what you
days.
want delivered specifically. And we do ask that question, but it's not in
But
meticulous
no one really
detail.
sits down and thinks about it. You
Exactly.
do a ChatGPT job
But a lot of the
description
time they
and
just
then-
don't know.
They don't know,
So
yeah,
maybe they
that's it.
might need somebody on a fractional basis who can be like a co-founder CMO or somebody who can get shares in
I mean,
the
the
business.
fact that someone asked you in the meeting, like I would say, if I'm going for any of these works, what do you need to achieve? And every time, every set, we do like an hour session, and it will be all these things. But I'm like, no. But at the end of the day, your problem is you're not getting leads. Like that is your problem. It's not your problem that you're not on all these different ads and you're doing TV. So it's really hard because everyone in marketing wants to do. People just have gone yesterday. Oh, this ad looks really cool. Can we do more like this? And I said, yeah, but. Why are we creating a movie for the fact that you guys are wanting leads? That makes no sense.
What do you mean create a movie? They wanted to
Like
create a
literally
short,
just sort of
a
branding.
short trailer, like a 5 minutes video.
short trailer.
Okay.
But I'm like, but that's still, I get for the BBC, right? Okay, they've got a different objective. It's like a broader thing about the brand as a whole. But
The
for
mission.
a very focused revenue generating business, everything must come back to a dollar value of what you're doing.
So just round
Fair.
up. So
Round up.
So
There's a lot of
some of
topics
the points about if you're hiring your first CMO, how to spot a good one. So some of the points that we covered were references, longevity and CV. Think about fractional versus permanent.
Turning around performing team.
Performance. What else did we cover? So achievements.
KPIs. Even I think if people aren't hiring CMOs
KPIs.
and they're thinking about hiring, think about just putting in the job description the KPIs. For even junior
Some
hires.
don't want to reveal it though. I know that's a different topic.
I
but
know,
some
right?
are just like,
But I
oh, I
wonder
don't want
if
to tell
it
my
brings in an
secrets.
interesting candidate.
But it actually puts off the
True.
candidates that we don't want.
Do you think so?
So, for example, the candidate that got offered the role this week with your travel client, they were put off by the KPIs and what they want to achieve. So
Do you think that wasn't the right person though?
that just saved them a headache, you know?
Yeah.
Saved them a headache.
Yeah.
I don't know. For
'Cause
me,
you don't
if I
wanna
was looking
discover
for
it
a
in the
role, I don't know. Maybe you don't want to advertise it, but you might want to have it in the interview to say these are the KPIs.
Oh, yeah, you have to.
But you might
Yeah,
secretly say it to the
yeah.
recruiter.
But when we approach CMOs, we try to put them off it. So we just try and say, this is what's good about it, but also these are the challenges of the current business. Are you up for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of the time,
But most
CMOs
people go,
are
yeah, I'm
because
up
they
for a
want
challenge, let's do it.
challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
'cause
CMO
that's how
because
you
it's a lot
grow.
hard. It's hard to get a job.
So
Yeah,
other
well-
things as well. So
Sorry.
if you are hiring, think about equity versus maybe a co-founder. Look at the numbers of the people, what they've actually delivered. Have they got hands-on experience versus
in the
strategic?
weeds.
They need to be in the weeds, no matter what.
Yeah.
If you're doing, no offense. I mean, actually, everyone's in the weeds these days anyway.
You
as a
have to be
CMO.
now.
And one last
Yeah.
point that I've got here. What do you guys think about hiring, even if it's your first CMO or a different hire, a friend or a family member?
Never, ever do it. Never do
Exactly.
it.
That is.
I love my dad to death, but
probably
it's like
no.
the one rule I've learned is that I will never hire.
Yeah.
I
I
Don't
mean,
mix
so no.
business with pleasure.
I would say that is a recipe for
Disaster.
Yeah.
hey, and if
Sorry.
someone has had a really good experience, go for it.
Just let us know.
But let us know.
Yeah, please
I'm on
in the
LinkedIn. We're all on
comments.
LinkedIn.
Yeah,
But yeah, we might
message
have
us
to wrap this up
direct us.
before Lewis kills us.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah,
Cool.
thank you very much,
Subscribe.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.